Hey everybody, it's Benji the Body Whisperer here, just coming to you from, I'm having a cup of coffee this morning, and I just wanted to chat a little bit about the question that was posed yesterday about when getting into, hands look huge, holy cow, perspective, right? Perspective, big hands, little hands, big hands, it's all perspective. So the question was, it's like getting into them, getting prepared mentally and physically for, I would assume, and this was like diet, exercise, whatever it is. And I think that's the thing, is I typically see people try day one, week one, to be where, in my opinion, when you start, like for me it's shortened, but I typically, if you had somebody new come to me and say, hey, I haven't been working out, I have had an injury in the past, I haven't been dieting, I kind of whatever, I would say at least just to get to the point where you're kind of ready to actually do stuff, and that takes you about 8 weeks, because it's a process. But what else are you going to do? You could do the exact same thing, which is like jump in, change 50 things at once, try and do all these things, and then get into it about a week, and then be like, this is impossible, because you've changed your diet, you've stopped smoking, you've stopped, if you're trying to limit drinking, you are taking on new habits, like I'm going to take vitamins, I'm going to take this new protein powder, I'm going to do this, and you just get overwhelmed, and you get to a point where you're like, nah, I can't do this anymore, I can't sustain this, and it isn't sustainable. So in my opinion, and this is what I found works for me, and again, like I said, for me it takes less time to kind of get into it, because I've practiced it over and over and over again. I started out the first time I did it, and I didn't kind of know where I was going, and that turned out to be the best thing, is that I kind of had a goal, and I decided, okay, I'm going to do this one thing, just add exercise. Didn't change anything else, didn't change my diet, didn't do anything, just said, okay, I'm going to do this exercise 3 times a week. So that's one of the things that, so in retrospect, looking back on it, the way I look at it is I try to drop a few bad habits right away. Things that I know, like cut out sugar, for me it's like cut out any like extraneous things, like, which is fun. Maybe keep it for 1 day a week at the beginning, is like cut out chips and popcorn and anything like that is just kind of empty calories. Kind of anything white is what I consider, any extra dairy, wheat, rice, things like that. That will go a long way. But again, it's more about, but cutting out sugar is the biggest one. If you just said, I'm going to cut out sugar week 1, that right there would be quite a good thing, because that cuts out so many things, right? And then the second week, I typically look at it as, so this is my 8-week plan. The second week I look at is educating yourself, typically on diet. So looking into different forms of diet. I like to think about diet in terms of diet for your personality. And I discuss different diets. I found the diet that works for my personality. There's so many out there. There's intermittent fasting, there's slow carb diet, there's and you can look up any of these. There's the Atkins diet. There's there's Weight Watchers. There's a multitude of companies that make meal replacements. I typically use Isogenics. I've found that to be just a solid, good product that I've used now for 4 or 5 years. Really enjoyed that. Then what I do after that week, I still haven't chosen anything for a diet yet. I just continue with maybe cut out one thing that next week. Then in my mind, it's like learning how not to do. Because what we tend to do is we tend to jump in, full throttle, overdo it, and then we injure ourselves. I've done it when we were kids and we were progressing, and you just progress from being like a kid that's up, down, around 5, 6, you start playing sports, 7, 8, 9, 10, continuing to play sports, into your high school, and then maybe you continue into college, but then you stop. Well, all your joints, your muscles are gonna build really quickly, but your joints aren't, right? Your joints take more time. And then that's where it really comes into play, is that your body isn't ready and you jump in super quick. So I look at how to do less. Just start by walking. Walking is a huge thing. That's what I do. I do a lot. I do more walking than anything, and it keeps me more in shape than anything. And then also there's a mind shift. So the next week what I tend to do is talk about sucking more. Knowing that you're going to suck at this. Knowing that you're going to make mistakes. Knowing that if you just take it easy, it's that little by little you're going to get there. But having the mindset that that it's okay to suck, right? Then what I end up doing is educating on movement. So looking at what am I going to start doing? So this is week 5. What am I going to do for movement? So 4 weeks, you're just maybe cutting out a thing a week. Big things. It's the sugar, the excess, like just simple carbohydrates. That'll do a lot if you consistently do it. I haven't even added any kind of working out. Typically at this point, I'm just still walking. I walk for maybe like 30 minutes a day at least. So now educating yourself on movement. And this, if every other day you just did a 20-minute workout, like a minute on, 15 seconds off, push-ups, just basic movements, you would be amazed at how much what changes. But what I like to tell people, and what I've found works for me, is I like to think of it as 3 levels. And maybe to start, you wouldn't do the dragon. So there's dinosaur, dragon, and donkey. Donkey is do something fun and new. Dinosaur is doing something for your longevity, like stretching and Pilates, yoga, things like that are not high impact, but are more about elongating. And then typically the dragon is a little bit more of an extensive workout. But to start, it's just about taking the time to do it. So setting aside the time. Don't fill it with anything crazy. Simple squat, push-up, just basic exercises will do a lot. Then what I end up doing is, so that's week 5, week 6, 7, 8 is basically, 6 is like, that's when you finally put together a diet and picked an exercise program that works for you. Practice it, try it, see how it went, what worked, what didn't, what time of the day are you going to do it. 7, so what I like to call it is a dress run, and then week 7 is a preview, and then week 8 is opening, because I'm in acting, so I look at things, we practice shows, so we do a dress run a week, a preview week, so we're doing it in front of an audience, but it's still not quite maybe there, and then we do opening. So that week 6, practice it. Week 7, you found new things, maybe you tweak something, try that. How did it work? Keep checking in. Week 8, same thing. So then by week 8, day 7, that is the start to me. Now you kind of know what works for you, and you can start to really get into it. And what else are you going to do? That's 8 weeks. If you don't do it, you're still where you're at, and maybe you're not where you want to be, maybe in the back of your head. But if you're at where you're at, totally cool. But if you're not, then why not give it a go? Then, because at the end of this 8 weeks, there's always the end. And so what I continue to do is I usually do 8 weeks on, have kind of a goal in mind. Maybe it's this time I'm trying to work on strength. Maybe it's flexibility. Maybe it's, pain management. I change it up. Then I might take 2 weeks off and then get back into it. We've got a long life ahead of us, hopefully, and what else are you going to do? It's kind of a fun process. So that's a 10-minute answer to the question. If you want to know more and you want to give it a try, my Binge of the Body Whisperer 8-week reboot, you can find it at weequalenergy.com. Click on, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to start, and you'll just follow the links to where you can get that. And what you get is a daily email with how I've broken it down every day for 8 weeks on how to go through this in a simple process. So if you have no idea where to start, where to begin, this is a great place to start. And it costs the same amount as a cup of coffee a day. So take care, Binge the Body Whisperer out. Keep moving, people.